Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. And good evening, Detroit. It's good to see everybody here this evening. And I want to say it was a pleasure this afternoon to ride to Detroit with your congressional delegation, the members of Congress. So I always do that. So for those who do not know, when I do travel to a city, I always invite that congressional delegation to come to Washington. We meet and we fly back. But we get a chance during that time. We had a little bit over an hour today to talk about education, and it's always a joy to hear about what's going on in the ground here in Detroit and in Michigan, and it's great to hear from their perspective, and it's good to hear. I just heard from some teachers and some students here just a few minutes ago about their perspective too, because what we're talking about here tonight is critical. I do want to thank you for joining us and for your commitment to the students and the teachers of Michigan. You know, and I also want to thank every teacher, principal, reading specialist, and school member in this room. Every school member counts. It doesn't matter if you're the superintendent of the district or you're a teacher's aide or you're a porter. Every position in that district, in your district, counts. And you're the ones who walk in the classrooms every morning and take the most important work there and take on the most important work there, and that is preparing the next generation. There's no more important work. I don't believe there. I mean, maybe what I do as president is important, but what you're doing as teachers, what you're doing as educators, everybody in this room here tonight, and I dearly mean that. Everybody who is employed by a school, it doesn't matter. Like I mentioned, it doesn't matter if it's a porter, it doesn't matter if it's a receptionist, an office coordinator, it doesn't matter if it's a exemplary teacher. You're all important, and you make a difference in the future of this country. Every day you see the potential in every child. You stay late. You adjust your lessons. You refuse to give up when a student is struggling. That work is hard, but is essential. It deserves our full support and respect. And let me say here tonight, as long as this administration is in power, education will be a number one priority of my administration. This evening, this is not a formal speech, though I've given a lot of speeches on education over the years. This is more of a conversation, and I'm gonna do some intro remarks, and then we're gonna let the press leave. That's always a customary thing that we do here. But I came here to listen to you tonight, to the people who know classrooms better than any policy ever will. And it's easy sometimes for people who never spent time in a classroom to write policies. They don't understand how that policy is going to play out. They don't understand how that rule is going to play out. It's important. It's important that somebody in administration, I believe, somebody in administration should be from the classroom. Should be from the classroom. Many of you guys know, and I've talked about this a couple times. Not a whole lot, but this summer, Andrea she was promoted to principal of her school back in Texas, and that's a big thing. But she didn't just walk into that. She didn't just walk into teaching and assume the role of principal. She taught for 31 years, still going, but she taught for 31 years. She has the background. Sure, it's a whole lot to do, it's a whole lot of responsibility, but her years in the classroom prepared her for this journey. Our Back to Basics agenda rests on a simple principle, and that is every child in America deserves a strong foundation in reading, writing, and mathematics. When children master these skills early, the rest of their education opens up. When they fall behind in the early grades, the gap only widens, and we're going to see that happen in probably the next few weeks when districts do take those benchmark tests and see where they are as far as reading. There traditionally is a dump in, or I should say dump, but a drop in scores from when they left off in May or June to where they are today. And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why this administration is. We are moving forward with a nationwide reading academy, and this reading academy has had great success in my home state of Texas. It really has. And so, what we want to do is roll it out on a nationwide level. This academy will give K through 3 teachers high quality practical training in the science of reading. It will cover the core skills every young reader needs: phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. This will not be abstract theory. It will be training teachers how to get our next leaders ready to go, and it's teachers that it's training that they can use the very next day in their classroom. Too many times, like I just mentioned, too many times students will come back from the summer and they haven't read. I'm not saying all are that way. Some do read, but you'll see as the benchmark scores start coming in that the reading takes a dip, and it typically takes the entire school year to get that reading back up to where it should be. Then before you know it, we're back at the end of the school year. So the Nationwide Reading Academy is going to take what is going on in Texas on a nationwide scale, and it's important to teach our teachers the basics of reading. Sure, you might have learned it if you did education. You might have learned that in college, but we're going to really get down deep into the science of teaching reading, and we will build it in partnership with educators so that it reflects the realities of the classroom, rather than the preferences of people far from it. This reading academy that I'm talking about in Texas is run by a dear friend of mine, and she's a principal, but she is still involved. And I think this would be a great ideal for the entire country. Supporting teachers also means confronting the retention challenge. Too many talented teachers leave the profession too soon. They leave because of pay that does not match their responsibility, because of the burdens that pull them away from teaching, and because the support systems around them are not strong enough. There are way too many teachers that are walking away from this profession, some on the verge of school starting. And I know there's a lot of different reasons, and there are some good, valid reasons of why that happens. There's could be family, personal reasons. That's understandable. But when you walk away from an agreement that you made, and especially if it's over money, you're walking away from a promise you made. Now, like I said, I understand other things do come up. Life happens, as I say, and so I truly get that. But we need to learn to honor our commitments, and so I think by doing that and paying teachers a livable wage, we will cut down on the number of teachers that are quitting the night before school starts. Back when I was going to high school, there were 3 teachers in a group, and one of them I actually go to Sunday school with back home in Texas. They all started the high school I went to in Texas on the same day. They spent 30 years there, and they retired all together. My English teacher went on to serve on the school board and became president. She continued serving. A lot of teachers today will start at 7:45 a.m. and call it a career at 3:15. I've seen it before. We've got to get that stopped and get teachers in the classroom who are ready to commit to our students. And like I said, there's a lot of burdens. There's a lot that goes into teaching. A lot of people, again, like I've said, they get this notion that teaching is 7:15 to 3:45, summers off, and 2 weeks off at Christmas, and a week off at Thanksgiving. but there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And so I want to see our teachers better prepared for that and understand the realities of what teaching is. You know, we cannot build strong readers if we keep losing strong teachers. We really can't uh, in any profession, be it science, be it government, be it whatever. We got to have the teachers in there to support that. You know, better pay, pathways, and meaningful mentoring, practical professional development, and genuine respect for the profession must be all part of the solution. We have to have professional development that actually means something, that actually contributes to the advancement of the teacher. Instead of it being a exercise of moaning and complaining about it, it's an exercise of learning a better skill to become better equipped. That's what we have to do in order to improve our education plan. One of the things we need to do to improve our education. You know, and I want to hear from you tonight. What is working in your classroom right now? Where is the system getting in the way? What would make the biggest difference for you and for the students you teach? You know, your experience is valuable, more valuable than any briefing book. I can be briefed at the White House every day by Secretary Gonzalez, and I still wouldn't have a thorough understanding of what goes on in the classrooms of our country unless I visit. That is why I made this speech an important part of my administration. Like I said, I've done this 4 times now, and we've picked different schools and different cities and such. But it's always important to have a motivational back to school speech, getting ready to start the school year. You know, and it's just so important. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. I really appreciate the work you all do. You put in a lot of work. I know there's 180. I know for a lot of schools, they're starting tomorrow, and we're starting on 180 days. Or at least back in Texas, we're starting on that countdown. So I do want to thank you for your service to your students, to Detroit, and to this country. I'm grateful you are here. So we're going to usher the press out. Let's go ahead and we'll get started with this. And again, thank you very much for the invite. Again, it's always great to be in a room full of educators. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here.